And once again, I can't tell if I'm live. Let me go look. Ah, now I know I'm live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to, shall we say, episode 3 of Ask an Ed Therapist. This is, if you're new and you haven't been following along the last several weeks, I challenge myself to do something that scares me, which is Facebook Live, and go live 4 times every Thursday at 11 on Facebook Live. And this is my third one. So the first one that I did was called 3 Secrets to Starting Off the School Year Strong. The second one that I did, now I can't forget because I'm human and it'll come to me, but hold on, let me go look. What did I talk about? Hold on, I will tell you in a second. Who remembers? Facebook Lives. What did I talk about last week? I talked about online portal pitfalls. And actually, Steph and I just recorded an episode on this as well. It is something that I am spending a lot of time talking to families about during this month, as frankly, people are being frustrated by the online portals. And so in the episode that is upcoming of the podcast, we talk about that. We talk about some workarounds. And this is a lot of the work that we do with our students who are working through their executive functioning issues. At my practice, CAP Educational Therapy Group, we primarily serve students with ADHD, executive functioning issues, writing remediation, and math remediation that goes alongside that diagnosis. And so that's a lot of the work that we do there. But today what I wanted to talk about was some of the frequently asked questions of educational therapy. And I know I've shared it before, but I'm going to share it again here. Obviously, the most frequent question that I get asked when I'm out in the world, when we're allowed to interact with other people, is educational therapy. What is that? So as educational therapists, we work one-on-one with students with different learning profiles to help them learn how to be successful and autonomous learners with their own talents, within their own talents and affinities. We focus on strategies and skills and not content, which I'll dig into a little bit with another frequently asked question that I get asked. So one of the questions that we get asked all the time is, how long does educational therapy take? So educational therapy is more akin to a marathon, not a sprint. And what that means is you wouldn't go and you have to train for a marathon, and it doesn't happen overnight. So it is a long-term process. It's not a magic bullet. It's not going to solve all the problems, but family life, home life improves. And what I mean by solving all the problems is students who we work with, people are who they are, and we teach them how to work within that and how to be successful in that. But people who tend to forget things will likely continue to forget things. So we teach them how to have systems and sort of have complete transparency about who they are in the world and what they're likely to do and what they're not likely to do, so that they can kind of create a system of checks and balances around who they are. Likewise, how long educational therapy takes. You wouldn't go to a personal trainer once a week and expect to have a six-pack. So we often recommend twice a week educational therapy for students if it is time permissible, both on the clinician side and the client side, and financially feasible for families. The next question that we get a lot, and we've done an episode of the podcast, which I'll link here I'm like acting like I'm on the podcast, which I will post here in the comments in case you want to go back and look at it, is what is a typical session like? And there's no concrete answer because it's highly individualized. It's really responsive and proactive, because we really believe at CAP Educational Therapy in the value of being proactive and knowing our clients super well and knowing kind of what pitfalls are likely to happen. But generally speaking, for the students that we work with, we are creating and maintaining systems. We are updating their calendar. We are checking the online portal, both looking back and looking forwards at what has happened. And did your student remember to click the turn it in button, and what will be happening moving forward. And then we dig into the work that that is applicable to the larger goals that we have. So students coming into educational therapy can be struggling with a content area, and we often will present skills and strategies within that content area. Simultaneously, we are building out what I call a living strategies document, which I will also put in the I was going to say show notes again, which we will also put in the comments here. So now I'm making a mental note. I have to put the what's a typical session like and the living strategies document in the comments. And so you can go back and listen to that episode where we dig a little bit deeper into it, but also have some compassion for Steph and I, because that is an early episode of the podcast. And as we all know, we get better over time. And so I think I'd be nervous to go back and listen to one of those episodes. Although episode 2, How to Calendar, is still one of our most popular downloaded episodes. Another question that we're always asked during the intake call is, can we bill through insurance? Educational therapy is not licensed in the state of California and therefore not covered by insurance. And I actually want to talk about this in a minute. In order to be a certified educational therapist, you have to get certified either through a graduate program or through the Association of Educational Therapy. It's the only way to know if someone is a real ed therapist. It's not like speech pathology, it's not like occupational therapy where the state hands you a license. It is a self-guided, self-directed field. We are working on licensure as a field, but because insurance companies don't want to pay for us, obviously we're the little guy going up against that. And so right now insurance is not, we're not able to bill insurance. We are able to offer a super bill. So if you want to go and take that and have that conversation with your insurance, that's always a possibility. Sometimes families have been able to get their self-help, their savings health plan, whatever that health plan is, to be able to cover it. And sometimes they aren't. It sort of just depends on each individual's circumstance. The ages that we work with. ICAP Educational Therapy Group, we work with students of all ages, from early readers up through adulthood. Like I said, we mostly tend to work with students with ADHD, with executive functioning issues, but those often present in 3rd and 4th grade. And there's a lot of reasons why this sort of comes up in those grades. But so we work with students across the gamut. I myself won't work with early readers, but I have a fantastic team that loves working with early readers. It's just not my jam. My jam is ADHD, executive function. And is your child a good fit? If you're curious about educational therapy for your learner, and if it would be a good fit, I would highly recommend that you sign up through my website, and I will put that link in there. So no, that's 3 things that I need to put in there, to chat with me about whether or not your child is a good fit. I'm very transparent and I'm very clear about that. I'm not interested in having somebody in the practice who is not going to benefit from the services that we provided. And at the same time, I'm not interested in keeping anybody in the practice once they have met their goals of educational therapy, which brings me to, how are we different from tutoring? We are different from tutoring because we are working ourselves out of a job. Tutors always have new content to teach. I'm not interested in teaching the new content. I'm interested in teaching students how to access the new content. So when they get things that are challenging, or when they get things that that are overwhelming, or that they don't understand right away, they have some strategies, they have some resilience, they have some grit to go and try to figure that problem out on their own. And our education is very different from that of tutors. We are highly specialized. We have a lot of training on how the brain works, how learning works within the brain, and all the skills and strategies that we pick and choose based off of each individual student's needs. And so we are very different from a tutor. Additionally, we collaborate with the school. We collaborate with, if there's occupational speech pathologist, talk therapy as a part of the team, there's a psychiatrist as part of the team. We act as the case manager of all those people, and kind of help create a collaborative group environment with teachers, with the student, with the parents, in order to help learning to be successful and have the student thrive. We often attend school meetings, we often have meetings, but there's a whole process for how that involvement sort of happens in my practice, which we get into once the family is in for ed therapy, and we kind of walk you through how that sort of works. That is it. So those are the 6 main questions that we get as educational therapists, and at least that Steph and I get in our practices. And I am going to do nothing but add those 3 episodes that I talked about, or those 3 things that I talked about. So have a great week. Next week, my last live, I think. Maybe I'll do another challenge for myself at some point, but I'm very busy right now. Next week, I'm going to be talking about executive functioning, what it is, why it's important, and really why parents should be using that language in the home when they remember. So have a great week, and click the RSVP button so you get notified when I go live about executive functioning. Have a great week.